Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of Tech Pixies and the host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And you are in for a treat in today's podcast because I am interviewing just an incredible woman who has embraced the learning and the community at Tech Pixies, and she's gone on to create something really important in the world. Dr. Clare Seymour, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Joy, and thanks for asking me. This is like the epitome of where I aspired to get to in my very first stage of Tech Pixies.
Oh, I love that. And one of the most important things that I like to do is showcase alumni stories because it really inspires people. And you obviously were inspired by an alumni story and wanted to be one. Do you remember which alumni story inspired you?
Well, it was, because this is going back a couple of years now, it was actually Sophie's, and your very first, just her thirst for knowledge, which I can identify with, and then just seeing that from having taken your course, she was then tutoring on it, and just such a great support.
Yeah, Sophie Bradley.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that story too because she was my very first online student, and she would be messaging me going, "When's the Twitter? When's this module releasing?" You know, it was early days when we weren't organized, and it was really done not perfect. All right, I love that her story inspired you. Well, I know your story is going to inspire the people watching today live or who are listening on the podcast. So tell us about your story. Tell us where you were when you found Tech Pixies and what you were hoping to accomplish when you joined.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. So therefore, it took several pairs of brave pants to actually sign up in the first place. And then once I had, I thought I was in for just learning how to use Facebook. That was it. I've been teaching, so I've had 30 years sort of in the classroom as a music teacher, and then had sort of moved into doing freelance work as a musician and doing a lot of traveling. And I was actually music examining in Delhi when the virus started and got recalled, came home, no work, everything had dried up. And I just remember having seen an advert about Tech Pixies, but I hadn't even really read it. But somewhere in my subconscious, it must have been there. And lockdown was announced, and I thought, this is an opportunity. I mean, it's very sad, and I didn't want the world to go that way, but because it was, you have to make the best of things. And so I thought, this is the opportunity that my family have been telling me for ages. I need to get on Facebook and I need to do social media just to put, because I've sort of as a side hustle, I'd written children's songs and they'd sort of gone out into the community, and people kept saying to me, "You've got to publish them and you've got to get your name out there." And that was something I didn't know how to do. And then I saw it was the 5-day challenge, the boot camp. And so it took me a lot of courage to actually do that. And then I thought, well, yeah, actually, maybe I should sign up and do a bit more. So I came from absolutely nothing, honestly, nothing as far as social media went. And it just so opened my eyes. So my aspiration in the very early days was just to do one little thing. And and I know a lot of people might not identify with this, but for me to be here on video with you, that's taken me 2.5 years of building up my courage, actually, and realizing that actually I can do it. And so in the early days, I was thinking it was just social media. I had no idea there would be mindset stuff and all the stuff that you need in order to become a successful tech pixie.
Well, it's really interesting you said. I think people can relate to it. People who I know a lot of people who would not get on a live video and do an interview because of this, fear of visibility, or just even, having the, what am I going to remember what I want to say, and all these different aspects. So I think there are people who are listening right now that they're like you when you listen to Sophie's story. I would love to be able to do that, and hopefully they will be able to do it just like you are. Now, what I love about what you've done is, once you realize sort of what you needed to do and what you wanted to do, you also realized there were certain strengths you had, and there were certain strengths that the community had. And one thing that I think you did really well was you engaged with the community and hired people and gave people opportunities within the community to go on that journey with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think Tech Pixies, because I've been thinking about Tech Pixies particularly for coming on here, and actually I've got like circles of Tech Pixie influence. I think that's the way I've looked at it. So I've got you at the center, my role model and inspiration, but then along the way, I have met such support and belief in me that, that I never thought I deserved.
Wow.
So anyway, enough of that.
Well, but actually, let's just pause there for a second. I first of all, I appreciate your vulnerability, and I also appreciate what you said. What you said is so important. You said, I got a lot of support I didn't believe I deserved. And I think this is very important, because everyone needs to hear that. They need to hear that they deserve support. They need to hear that they deserve to have someone help them get to where they want to go, if they're willing to have that support, right? And that's the first thing. But I think you're right. So often there's two steps here. One is, needing and wanting the support, but the other one is feeling worthy of and deserving of that support. And that's a fundamental right? We have a fundamental right to support in this world and in this life. And, and the willingness to be open to it is a totally different thing. You've got to have both, right? The belief that you deserve it, and then also the willingness to accept it. But I think what you've just said is really, really important for people to hear, because you're amazing, and what you do in this world is amazing. And you deserve all the support in the world that you can have, because let's just tell people what you're doing, because I don't think people, you've got them in, if you're watching this visually, she's got her music buds behind her, but explain what music buds is and what a gift it is to the world, because I think that will help people understand just how important it was that you got the support that you do deserve.
So I was teaching in an international school. I'll try and do this really quickly. This is a potted version. And then in about, so I was head of music, head of primary music. And I became aware that I wasn't particularly meeting the needs of the early learners, so 3 to 7 year olds, as well as I was the older age range. And so once I felt I trusted the head of early years, I went and said, I know I'm teaching them music really well, but they need so much more at that age. It's, it's divorced from what they're learning in the classroom. And so then she said to me, I love to teach them through songs, but I don't have the musical background to do it. So then we got together and she wrote lyrics with particular learning objectives in mind. So, for example, she'd have a class of children and she wanted to see, she thought some of them were struggling, which meant that they wouldn't be able to sit down and start to write. And one of the tests for that is to watch a child cross the midline like that. So to do an arc and to be able to cross that line. And so she said, I want a song that will demonstrate to me when the whole class are doing it together, so I'm not not singling any child out, so they don't know they're being assessed. I need a song for that. So I think that was the starting point. So anyway, a long story short, we then wrote lots of songs for different objectives, and it just grew, it trickled. So other teachers listened to the songs and said, can we use them? And parents would come in and say, my child's come home singing this, can you give me a CD that we can use? So it sort of grew like that. So I'd done that as a sort of side hustle up until coronavirus, up until the lockdown, and then did the Tech Pixie bit. And I hadn't even realised that you can write, that there are online learning course platforms. And in my mind, I'd always thought I'd love to get this out online so that more people can see it. But I didn't know they existed. And it was only further down the line that I realised there were such things. And taking your course and seeing how you'd mapped it out, and I thought, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. But just at that point, the George Floyd thing happened and Black Lives Matter hit. And I then thought, how can I relate what my knowledge, especially having done a PhD in education and sort of understanding about child development, I thought I really want to incorporate diversity and awareness of diversity and to promote positive diversity awareness in children. But actually children aren't the problem, it's the adults, really. So so from that, it's taken 2.5 years since starting at Tech Pixies, but I now have 2 CPD accredited courses ready to go. I beta tested them over the course of the last year. I've run it twice, and they have been quite successful with really nice reviews coming in. So I'm going to launch those on the 1st of October, and I've got a free 5-day challenge before that. So starting a week on Sunday, the 18th, which is called a Diversity Dash, which is just basically an overview of diversity, because I don't think people realise. It's, again, people don't know what it is they don't know.
This is incredible. So you have created a music program, and this is for educating educators on how to, is that right? Or is it open to?
It is, no, oh, sorry, I should have said my elevator pitch.
That's all right. No, it's to get some clarity on what it is, because the main thing here, I just want to make sure people get out of this from a where could I be standpoint is Claire needed Facebook, and then she came in on this journey, and then there was a major incident, the George Floyd incident that happened, that shaped your perspective, and you said, I want to do something to help people. So you've taken your skills, expertise, and knowledge and crafted music that helps children become more aware of diversity. Is that correct?
It is. There are 2. I did,
and then you have a program along with that to help people.
Yeah, I had a 10-week course, and then over the course of last year, trialing it, I decided I'd separate out. So one is a theory, so anybody at all can do it, but I've targeted it at professionals, parents, and carers of 3 to 7-year-olds. But however, having said that, I had one teacher who took it and said, is it okay if my 2 teenage boys also do it, because they're really interested in the way you've done it?
Wow.
So I think that's sort of open to anybody who's interested, really. But my focus and my niche has been teachers and parents, really.
And but this is the part that I just think is really special, is that this wasn't on your radar when you started Tech Pixies.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's incredible. And you've gone on to launch an online program. You've gone on to create programs that help educate around diversity through music, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And in doing that, in order to get it out into the world, you did have to, lean on your Tech Pixie community. So tell us about the amazing Tech Pixies you brought on to help you, and why that was so special for you.
Okay. I couldn't have done it without them, to be honest. Because it's such hard work learning technology and learning how to set up, well, how to do everything that you have to do when you haven't got funding behind you to just do it any other way, which I'm not complaining about, because it means I really know what I'm doing now. But so a year ago, about this time last year, I realised that I knew what I wanted to do, and I had the draft of the course, but I needed a lot of resources, like children's resources. So I then put out, with your permission, an advert on Tech Pixies, just saying, or a post really, just saying, if anybody's interested, I'm trying to set up a diversity course. I think it might suit primary teachers. If anyone thinks they've got a couple of hours to spare, please do volunteer. And I got 12 responses, which was way beyond. And my idea was to just pick one person. Anyway, there were 4 really strong, interested Tech Pixies, all of whom were offering me a different skill set. And I think I spent the weekend just thinking, well, first of all, thinking, well, which one of these 4, because they're all offering such different things, which one of these 4 should I go for? And then just a voice came in my head saying, well, take them all.
That's the voice of intuition. I love it. And you listened to it.
Yeah. And I haven't looked back, really. They are just, they're so supportive. They lift me up. They're just absolutely great. And so I've got, can I name them and just?
Yes, well, please do. And I know some of them, and I know they absolutely love working with you. So,
well, there's Annie, who, the brilliant Annie Soiser, who has had to step back now because she's so busy, which is wonderful and sad for me, but great for her. So she set off doing the graphics for the posts and for the courses. And then Neva Brentnell, who was also in my cohort, came on board as, she's a mother, so she's got children. She's really committed to diversity, and she just gets it in a way, and also she gets me, and she is the one that drives me and says, well, Claire, have you done this, and have you thought about that, and what's the
we all need people like that in our life.
So I think she's like the powerhouse, really. And then I've got the brilliantly creative Kirsty Bingham, who works absolutely solidly because she was a primary school teacher. She's done Tech Pixies. She's branching out into work within sort of social media manager type stuff, and she just creates the most brilliant, colourful, attractive resources for children and teachers, and comes up with ideas that go way beyond what I've been thinking of. And it's just, so that's an absolute delight. And then I've got Helen Errington, who only started Tech Pixies last year, saw my post, had been or was head of early years in a small school, and she was on sick leave and said, this really speaks to me. I'd love to, really like my story. I'd love to be part of it, but I don't, what can I offer? and actually she's now taken a copywriting course, and so she has been through with a fine-tooth comb everything in the courses.
Wow.
And I thought that English grammar was my thing, but I have so learned that it isn't. So she's really helped with that. And then I've got a privilege to work with Rachel Bunger, who she's another unconfident tech pixie, but with so much to offer. And so she's working as an intern now because she wants to gain her CPD from you, from Tech Pixies. And so she's now doing graphics for Instagram. She's chosen Instagram, and that's fine with me because I honestly don't have the time to commit to social media in the way that I need to be doing it. So they carry a lot of the load. And I
love that. And I love what you've done is you've created an environment for someone who wants to do something to get their CPD or to actually try something out where it's a safe environment. They can try it out. They know that you trust them and you're giving them some reins to do what they want to do. And that will give them the confidence they need to then go off and do the other things. Like you said, Annie is now too busy to stay, but she probably got a lot of confidence from working on your project. So I love that. And that's the thing I love about Tech Pixies is, very often you find people do work in many different ways with each other, in volunteer capacity, also in paid capacities. And it's just about, what you're sort of working with someone who's got the similar mindset to you and has made those mindset shifts. And like you said, you don't know, you don't know, people don't realize how important and impactful, getting support is, being in a like-minded community, and also that it's not just about the social media, it's about the mindset changes you need to make in order to use social media effectively. Yeah. I'm really excited that you're going to launch this. And, it's really amazing. And I also think one thing that you really highlighted for those listening and watching is, and I'm not going to, this is my snail, which one of my students gave me. I have a bronze snail that Amanda Parkin gave me. And she said, I bought this for you. And I have no idea why I bought this for you. And when I thought about it, I thought about the fact that, even the snail gets to their destination as long as they move forward. And one of the things I really respect about you is that you have taken your time to figure out what it is you need, what it is you want to do. And you haven't beat yourself up about it, or if you did beat yourself up about it, you stopped doing that and just recognize I am where I am, And one of the things I say at Tech Pixies is you are where you are. People always go, I'm behind. I say, no, at Tech Pixies, you are where you are. And there's a reason that sometimes things take longer to process or to do, but as long as you're taking a step forward every single day, you will get to your destination. You may not get there as quickly as you would have liked, or you might get there faster than you'd like. Usually it's the other way around. Usually we get, and I'm the same way. I've been working on something for almost 3 years, and it's just taking its time. And, like sometimes you can't force things to move any faster, but if we don't give up, and we keep moving forward. There was a quote actually in my full focus planner the other day, which was great. And I'll see if I can find it, while we're talking. But it was just really simple around, just if you don't quit, you're not defeated until you quit, right? And I have a friend who said, I am not defeated. And I sort of remember that on a regular basis. Like if I haven't quit, I am not defeated.
That's exactly. And you've just, because it's so tempting to, especially in the early days when I was starting and I was seeing so many others who'd signed up, but who were clearly not only talented, they were just, years ahead of me. And that it is compare and despair, and looking at it and thinking, I can't ever hope to get there. but what I can do is follow my own story, and I think that's what I've done, or what I'm doing. I mean, and also treating it as, um, not exactly a game, but, I've just got to keep going. And I like the snail, but for me, I think of myself as a tortoise, and I
Oh,
am,
I love that.
I can just plod. And I'll get there in the end, and I might have muddy feet, and I might, not it might not be world-shatteringly brilliant, but I just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and
I
I'll
think
get
you are
there.
world-shatteringly brilliant personally, but let me just, one thing I like to do, I mean, those of you who know me know I love spirit animals, and I'm a Christian, but I also
Yeah,
feel that God has given us the gift of these amazing animals, and there's traits in animals that, that when these things show up, like the tortoise or the snail, that are very interesting. So the snail symbolism is, it's a gentle reminder to always be kind to those around you, which is so funny because my shirt says
oh,
be kind. And it says the universe shares something with us more often than not because we have not noticed something important. So it's taking the time to notice things that are important. The
mhm,
tortoise, on the other hand, which I love, and this is so great, and I love that this is your spirit animal. It's one of the most revered and sacred symbols in feng shui, and it says the tortoise represents wisdom, endurance, and long life.
oh,
So there you go. And I think it's a really important conversation to have. That we at Tech Pixies, we have women mostly in their midlife, right, 40s,
mm,
50s, 60s. We have some women in their 70s, and it really is. It's about making sure everyone at any age knows that they have the capacity to learn, they have the capacity to do something new, they have the capacity to change their life, enhance their life, and change and enhance the lives of others, through their own
yeah,
transformation. And whether you get there as a tortoise or a turtle or a hare or a racehorse, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you're moving towards that impact and you're making that impact. So I know your program is going to have a huge impact on the people that participate in it and the children who benefit from it, and the teenagers in some cases who
thank
benefit from
you.
it. So I am so grateful to you for um, for being a part of our community, for never giving up, and for putting one foot in front of the other, and just holding on to that endurance and believing that it's all going to work out, and also bringing others along on the journey with you. What a gift that is.
Yeah, that's fun. I wouldn't be without them for anything now.
I
Yeah.
love that. Do you have any final parting words that you want to say to people, about if they're on the fence about, do I join Tech Pixies, do I not join Tech Pixies? What would you say to them?
Oh, I'd say without a doubt, do it, without a doubt. But, it doesn't I think people, or like me, I thought, first of all, I just wasn't the right, um, demographic. I'm a bit too old, long in the tooth, not I've never done social media, etc., etc., and, it just opens your eyes. And even if you find that social media isn't for you, at least you've discovered that, and it's not a and also you're saying about failure, there is no such thing as failure. There's just you just move on, and yeah, um it's so much more, it's such a holistic program. It's not just about social media, it's about you as a person. And if you want to be supported and loved, join Tech Pixies. There's a whole world of women out there to support you.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much. And if anyone wants to find out more about your diversity in music program, where do they go?
Well, we're all over social media channels at the moment because of my wonderful team. So you can find us at Music Buds on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or you can just, if you DM me on probably Facebook is the best thing, and just get in touch that way. But also there's a website. If you just look www.musicbuds.org, you'll find us. And
Amazing.
yeah, but please do get in touch. It's we are, I mean, I hate saying because it's been politicized, but we are stronger together in the Tech Pixies community. So yeah, and thank you to you, Joy, because you know, without you, none of us would be here.
Well, it's interesting. Just we'll close on that note because it's really important, probably, for me to say this. There have been so many times where I've thought, this is hard.
Yeah,
Keeping this going is hard. And I think hearing you say that, is that point where you just go, that's why I keep doing it, right? That's why I keep doing it. And I have my own moments as someone leading a company, as someone, at the center of a community, where you think, is this worth it? And having a conversation like this always reminds me it's 100,000% worth it. And I appreciate the encouragement you've given me, because you never know when that encouragement is most needed. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, we'll catch up another time, but I appreciate you. Have a great day. And thank you to those of you watching and listening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Claire.
Bye.